Hello and welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. As always, I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. How's it going, y'all? Even though this episode is going to be published on Wednesday, I just wanted to acknowledge, May the 4th be with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to Revenge of the Sixth.
Wait, yeah, no, wait, it's May the 4th be with you, Revenge of the 5th, and um,
S-
I don't remember. They do 5th and 6th, and I can't
You know,
remember.
Sixth just works better because Americans are too damn busy celebrating uh, what they think is a Mexican holiday, and it's not.
My favorite meme about that is when they just put a fucking jar of mayonnaise in the kitchen sink and say "Happy Cinco de Mayo."
Oh shit! I just realized something. Tomorrow, next year is not a leap year, so Cinco de Mayo is going to be on a Taco Tuesday.
That means that all the actual like El Toro and those are gonna be jumping. Oh, you had reminded me it was supposed to fall on a Tuesday back fucking COVID
Supposed to.
because there was Cinco de Mayo. I think the 4th of July was on a weekend. Like a bunch of holidays happened to fall on
Yeah,
just the right day,
yeah,
but COVID happened and we all got fucked.
yeah, no, Samhain was, on a Saturday, which was like, hell yes. And, you know, all those Samhain parties, Halloween, for those that don't understand what Samhain is, um, yeah, would have been a complete blast. But no, we had to social distance.
The only thing that was funny about that though, he'll remember that. So y'all remember back when we were doing COVID and people are doing Zoom meetings and hangouts and shit. Well, because I was home, I didn't have to pace myself. So this guy, along with a bunch of other people who were on the Zoom call with us, were watching me get fucking hammered in real time. The honestly the best one. So you put me onto the Strongbow, which is really good shit. Um, Angry, not no Cider Boys. Cider Boys is the one I've really been liking lately. But we had some 99 apples, which for those of y'all who've never heard of it, when they say 99, they mean 99 proof. It is a liqueur. It's sweet. It's really supposed to be added to something. Well, I had a Scotch glass. I took the Strongbow and the 99 apples and god damn it, that's strong. It's
Uh,
good. It's really good.
speaking of strong, I've actually started a new batch of mead. Um, it's going to be ready by the time I do the cookout.
I think I'm gonna try to make that because I know I've missed the
No,
last couple of get-togethers you've had.
there's no try. There's only do.
Well, I will do my best to be there. This is enough time. Like I really don't have an excuse not to plan ahead for this one.
Yeah, because you have got like 2 months, 3 months
Yeah.
almost.
Um, One thing I guess before we start with more of the lighthearted things that we like to do, I just wanted to point and laugh at the Fanta fascist getting his absolute dick kicked in an interview. Um,
The Mango Mussolini's at it again.
uh, Honestly, so there was one clip that was hilarious. The Daily Show was actually playing it. This was one of the episodes where Desi Lydic was the host, because Jon Stewart does Mondays, and then the other days they do other hosts. Well, so the guy Terry Moran, I believe is his name, um, they moved the Declaration of Independence into the Oval Office, which is an egotistical thing. That's something that should be visible to the American public in a museum. But I digress. He said, "What does this document mean to you?" And I would like to let me pause the story real quick. We are talking about the Declaration of Independence. This is a very self explanatory document. So when I ask what that means to you, it's in the fucking title. However, this dipshit, it's a declaration. It was about love and unity and respect. And Terry is looking at him like, the fuck? Um, but yeah, like, yeah, Terry was just looking at him like, what the fuck did you just say? And I'm like, I don't know why. Like, I swear, Chat GPT would be more coherent than this fucker.
Well, I mean, the Onion can't make half this shit up. I mean, they're going out of business because of this, this administration. But you continue with what's funny about that is that that's not even the real Declaration of Independence that's in there. They
I
cannot remove the original out of the air sealed glass case that is in, or it'll just crumble.
I remember them talking about that when he first threw out the idea of moving into the Oval Office. Um, I was under the impression that they found a way to make it work, which, if that's not the real one, cool. But you know what? I bet he believes it is.
You know, any self-respecting individual that's in charge of that Declaration of Independence is like, all right, we're going to give them the greatest looking mock-up ever because I would not trust it in there because I don't know, it would fall off the fucking wall, or you get somebody like fucking Kid Rock like, oh man, look at that, it's a Declaration of Independence. Oh, let me piss on that one amendment, or whatever.
Well, and this, I swear, this is something that we should never forget. What was her name? Casey Hutcherson, the lady who's testifying in front of Congress. You remember she told the story about he threw a plate on the wall, and she vividly remembers ketchup dripping to the wall. Well, imagine if the wall he threw the plate at was the one with the fucking Declaration of Independence on
Well, there was something he's like, he was like that 4-year-old kid, but yeah, he's like that little 4-year-old kid bringing somebody new to a room. Like, oh, look what I got here. I put so much nice stuff here, very nice stuff, very big stuff. Makes my hands look small. They're not, you know.
and of course, speaking of hands, the fucking the cherry on top of this shit show interview is when he got dog walked because he effectively was fooled by Microsoft Paint. He said, Terry said Photoshop in the interview, but honestly, Photoshop is way more advanced than that. Photoshop could have made those tattoos look real, but Donnie's dumbass, he said, oh no, that's not an interpretation. It literally says MS13. And I'm just like, how have you made it this far in life being this dumb?
Well, what got me is his comment that he said, well, you can't do that with Photoshop. All right, listen. I I learned on Photoshop 4.0, and I mean we're talking like late 90s. Okay, it was a pirated copy. I now pay for my own. So Adobe don't come after me for that. And it was installed on the computer when I got it. Anyway, I've been working with Photoshop for about the last 30 fucking years. You can do that with Photoshop. You can do it with fucking Microsoft Paint as it was fucking shown in the goddamn picture.
I
Okay.
can do it with my phone. What was in that fucking thing? It was so bad. And my favorite part, like Terry tried to give him an out. He tried to just move on, and his ego was so bruised he couldn't do it. And he straight up said, "Why can't you just agree with me,
And he
bitch?
said,
Because you're wrong."
and he's like, okay, I agree to disagree. I always fucking love it. But since that was a catastrophe, let's go into catastrophe. I have one this week. It apparently this I love to 6ix9ine really likes us. And I don't know who this is because it keeps showing up in my fucking email. I'm wondering if it's somebody I know. But if it's a female, if she loves the 6ix9ine, just email me again, davywit42@gmail.com. But I love 269 asks if you could do one thing just because, and I'm paraphrasing, if you can do one thing for your own enjoyment that you think would disrupt the flow of progress or people's enjoyment just to get a rise out of them, what would that be?
Hmm. I mean, so basically, she's talking about how what would be my favorite way to troll people. Essentially, well, he or she. Sorry. They're basically asking how I would like to troll people. Um. Oh, that's a good question because I mean, normally when I like to troll people, I'm trolling people for being fucking stupid, and I'm basically just using really heavy sarcasm. Uh if I could make sure that nobody got hurt and all I was doing was pissing people off, I would probably drive like an absolute fucking lunatic, just because it would be fun. Like, imagine just doing fucking donuts in the middle of the highway. If you could guarantee nobody gets hurt, but all the only crime you're committing is pissing people off, something like that could be really fun.
Do the donuts right there by Edwin C. Moses, right in the middle of the fucking construction.
Oh God. Um, Actually, you know what? No, I would probably be one of those dickheads you see working around a construction site who was just fucking off with the equipment. Like, if you ever have you ever seen the meme where the guy puts those orange cones around his arms and he's just doing this? Like, that would be me. But that would be me for the entire 8-hour shift.
So I gave a lot of thought about it. And the thing is I don't know if this would piss people off or actually get them excited or whatnot. But I think at least for the first couple seconds, like 5 or 6 seconds, it might disrupt the flow of how things are going because I love karaoke. I want to go to a swingers establishment, like maybe Ohio Swings or something like that. Very good establishment, stuff like that. If you haven't been there, you got to check it out. But they do have a karaoke night. I would go during karaoke night and I'd do one song, and it'd be Naughty by Nature, OPP.
I 100% thought you were going to say Tenacious D's "Fucker Gently."
Okay, then maybe two songs.
It just
I just think it would disrupt the flow. People be like, wait, what? And then they get into it, because it's like, yeah, this is OPP. This whole place is about OPP. So, but yeah,
I mean,
um,
if
I,
if we're gonna go in that direction, honestly, whenever we did go, like we were going to soft rock, I disrupted the flow fucking constantly because for those of y'all who are not from here, never been to it, this is suburb. A lot of country music, a lot of country music. Now, that's not to say it's only country music. You'll hear a lot of regular, uh, um, regular pop. But I will go up there. I've done fucking Lil Wayne and Eminem. I think it was either No Love or Drop the World. I forget which one, but it's all hip hop. He's seen I like to do Chris Brown's "Look at Me Now," and the whole reason I like to do that is because of Busta Rhymes verse. And when I hit Busta Rhymes verse, and if you know the song, you know the part I'm talking about. The entire bar goes silent. You could hear a cricket fart in there. And part of the reason I do that is he has a tendency to put me behind somebody who's really fucking good. It'll be you remember that one woman who would sing like Highway to Hell?
yeah,
Um, he would put me on after her. And I'm like, I can't sing as well as she can,
I think
but I
her
can
name
put
was
on a
Lori.
show.
I think her name was Lori. I can't remember. She was always with Rod.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't sing as well as she can, so I can't really follow that up, but I can put on a show.
Well,
So
why do you think I go up and do like Britney Spears or Carly Rae Jepsen or Whitney Houston or shit like that?
I have been trying to figure out a song that I could go up there, and you know what? You know what? I just remembered that I could do the other day, and I don't know why I didn't see this before. So the next time that we go there, if you want to start doing like women's songs, I'm gonna go Terry Crews and perform Vanessa Carlton. But because because it's Terry Crews, I have to do the part. And
All right, that sounds like a challenge accepted.
So yeah, whoever that is emailing, feel free to keep them coming. But I'm assuming that they do know who you are because they're not sending it to our email. I'm not
Yeah,
seeing it.
yeah, they're sending it directly to my email, which is
Yeah.
daviwhit42@gmail.com. And for those that are trying to figure out how to spell Davi, it's DAVIWHIT 42 at gmail.com.
I'll go ahead and drop that in the description. Um, oh shit, I was about to say something and I lost it there. But oh, just as a side note, and we can talk about this offline. I think I'm getting some kind of weird scam email in our inbox because I keep getting something from some company that's supposed to be like trying to offer like some kind of sponsorship or partnership or something like that.
Oh no,
Have you
that's not a
seen
scam.
that?
That's not a scam.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I saw something and I was actually surprised, and it could be a scam for all I know. But I did see something on a guy from LinkedIn, and I did check out what he had going on, and for the most part, it seemed legit. And I reached out to him via LinkedIn, and he's like, "Right now, we're still mulling through it. This was just a LinkedIn conversation." And I honestly, only time I'm in the Men Behind Curtain Gmail account is when I'm letting you know, hey, here's the audio.
yeah.
So
Yeah, the 0 to 1 agency, that's what I've been getting emails from lately.
yeah, that might be
So,
it. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it actually might be legit.
I mean, I looked it up and I mean, it wasn't a straight up it wasn't like it wasn't an obvious scam, I'll put it that way. But because it was out of the blue, I was just a little bit sus. But anyway, that and moving on. Moving on.
Moving on.
So, um, I'm trying to think. Wait a minute. I think I might be behind on The Last of Us because the last time that we talked about it, I remember was the episode right after. Oh, I haven't seen the new episode because they talked about the intro and how there's only one person in the intro now. I haven't seen that yet. Fuck.
No,
Okay.
I missed last week's. Trying to get caught up on everything, and by the time Last of Us hit my rotation, I was dead tired. And there's a new episode that is, well, by the time this drops, would have been out Sunday, but out is actually out tonight. So
Yeah. Um Also I did recently start watching Andor, but I only watched the first episode. So there's really nothing to talk about yet. Um I was a little bit surprised that like I thought Andor was like I didn't think Andor was the guy's name. I thought it was like a planet or something like that. So when it was actually the last guy's name, I'm like, oh, that's unusual. I might also be thinking of Endor because it's literally the same word. You just switch the vowel.
well, honestly, when I first saw it came out, I was like, okay, it's a planet, but I knew his name was Cassian, and from
Yeah.
watching Rogue One, I never put two and two together, and when they came out, I was like, Cassian Andor, I was like, oh, okay. Um,
Right.
I will say, get ready as you go through it, get ready for a time jump because it
Okay.
looks like, from my understanding, from what it looks like, they're going through this second season leading up to the events of Rogue One. Because where I am at for this last episode that aired Tuesday, this last Tuesday, they're in like BBY 3. So when it
Okay.
first started, they said like a year later, which would have put them at like BBY 4, and then
Yeah.
after like 2 or 3 episodes, it jumped one more year to BBY 3.
And didn't you say this second season is the last season that they're doing?
Yeah, they're only doing 2 seasons of Andor.
So yeah, this is going to be a direct lead up. I will say I'm a little disappointed in the fact that because we're doing it this way, then that means that the games, specifically The Force Awakens, is no longer canon because that was that led into a creation of the Rebel Alliance. Um, I don't know all of the details about it, but so the secret apprentice that he had in the first game, he ended up he was from a very prominent family, and it's actually his family crest that became the symbol of the rebellion.
Hmm.
So I'm a little bit disappointed that we're basically just completely writing him off. Although I guess I should have seen that coming because his nickname, I don't remember his actual name in the games. His nickname was Star Killer,
Yeah.
which is, of course, for those of y'all who don't know, that is partly an homage to Luke Skywalker's original name was Star Killer, which is actually a very weird name for the protagonist. And in the Force Awakens, it was Star Killer Base. So apparently, clearly, The people over at Lucasfilm have been really itching to use that name for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? They could retcon the Force Awakens or the one with Starkiller, the games. It could get retconned. I mean, they might be able to squeak that in there somehow because we're only looking at the events happening in Andor, or happening around Cassian Andor. We don't see anything else that's taking place, outside on the other, planets.
Fair enough. And I mean, if they were to do a continuation of the Solo story, we already know that Darth Maul came back. We know that Darth Maul was kind of influencing the events of that movie. And as I remember, I've watched it one time, and it's been a while. But I believe Emilia Clarke's character was actually kind of working for Darth Maul, if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
What was
So
it? The Crimson something or whatever.
yeah. Um, but so that being said, yeah, they could retcon it. They could make it so that like two, three, four storylines all coalesce into the Rebel Alliance. They could. Um, and it's weird because yeah, Disney decided, nah, none of that shit's canon anymore. And then they made their own canon, but still borrowed a lot of elements from this stuff over here. I still want a Darth Bane story. I actually found out that there's a channel on Spotify. It's called Star Wars Audiobooks. And I assumed, even though it says audiobooks, I'm like, they're not going to put an audiobook on Spotify. I assumed it was just audio dramas, like the one that me and Pitt have been working on. No, they're books because it automatically queued up the second Darth Bane book. Um, and I only listened far enough because I wanted to see it was a male narrator, and I wanted to see how he would approximate the woman's voice, the woman who became his apprentice. I just listened far enough to see that, just see how he would approximate it, and he basically did, I guess, what I would expect him to do, which is that he lightened his voice. He didn't try to go. You can't do too much to try to mimic a woman's voice without coming off cartoony. So he just kicked up the pitch a tiny bit. Not a ridiculous or funny amount, but just enough. But yeah, I still want a Darth Bane story. And the thing that I would love about something like Darth Bane is, again, those of you who are not familiar with it, Darth Bane takes place 1,000 years before the first Star Wars movie. He literally created the rule of two because at his time there was a Sith academy, well, multiple Sith academies. They were in a full-scale war with the Jedi, and Darth Bane tore it all down and started over with the rule of two. All we need is we have the rule of two. Mace and Yoda acknowledged the rule of two in the Phantom Menace. That's all we need. Like, it's 1,000 years prior. I don't give a shit what happened during Darth Bane's time. Other than the rule of two, none of it influences the current quote unquote events. So I say pull the trigger on it. You
Yep.
can tell those stories without ever impacting the established canon. And that's why I want them to.
I'm all for it. I've been saying for years, ever since Knights of the Old Republic came out as a video game, they need to make this into a movie or a fucking show or something.
Revan would be really cool. Revan is a really good character. However, my only thing about Revan is that I understand the book was meant to complement the game. And because of that, they couldn't finish his story in the book. But that made the book a very anticlimactic ending because he's just imprisoned by, I think it was Vitiate.
Yeah.
And Vitiate has him for like, I think, what, 300 years or some shit like that? Which, I mean, if you are going to write the conclusion of his story, I'm okay with that cliffhanger, but that's all we got. So they just expected you to play the game afterwards. That kind of sucks. That
And
chapped my ass a little bit.
and they only gave you two options, either dark side or light side.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of which, just as a side note, one time I saw a thread on, I think it was TikTok, and they were just talking about who's another. You know what? Fuck it. We can make this a random one right now. Basically, who is somebody else in fiction that you think would be worthy to wield Mjolnir? My answer was Revan. And the reason that Revan was my answer is because he has been a Jedi, he has been a Sith, and then he came back to the light. But when he came back, he is not a Jedi in the way that the traditional Jedi is. He had a wife, he had a child. Like, he has a better understanding of himself and he embraces more of himself than most do. And I think that's why he probably would be worthy to wield Mjolnir. He'd be a fucking nightmare too.
Can you imagine that Force lightning?
Oh shit! That would be
uh,
just fucking rude.
any character worthy of wielding Mjolnir from any universe. Uh, Prim from the Hunger Games.
Really? That's an interesting one.
Yes,
Now, are you going off of the books or the movies? Because I don't think the movies really told much about her.
I'm going off the books.
Okay. I want to read the books, but I haven't. Um, so all I know of her is the movies where she's very much just a side character.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what she's relegated to. I mean, yes, it's not until like later in the books does she like within the movies does she actually come more to the forefront. But the things she does, the fact that she is willing to risk her life even for, you know, just a cat or, to save somebody else, she's willing to forego her own existence to make sure, you know, people are better off.
So I hear what you're saying, and I'm not going to fight you on that. But one thing I am going to say, so I do remember that in the movies, how she almost got herself killed trying to save a cat during when they were bombing District 13. I do remember that. However, part of it has to do with not only are you willing to sacrifice yourself for others, are you willing to fight for them? And so that's the only thing that I question.
Read the books.
Okay, fair enough. Um, my daughter actually has a copy of the whole set, so I could pick it up. I haven't yet.
Yeah.
But
Don't read the theatrical edition of the books. Read the originals.
oh yeah, I the only time that I ever read a theatrical version is when the movie came first, and then they just wrote a novelization. And sometimes those novelizations are really good. Just as an example, not to backtrack here, I have a novelization of the original Star Wars trilogy, and it's really, really good because it tells you a lot more about like Vader's inner thoughts that are never expressed in the movie, but it does help to make things make a lot more sense. So the novelizations can be really good, but whenever the book is written first, I wouldn't even look at the novelization, like, or you get what I mean, but like, I would just look at that because why the fuck am I going to look at an adaptation of the adaptation? That doesn't make sense.
So I've been seeing a lot of stuff on TikTok where they've been dubbing in different voices for Vader's lines and stuff like that. And if you remember, like Prowse and stuff like that, with his original voice when he's like scolding Leia's like, "You and your rebel friends." How it didn't work is why they dubbed in James Earl Jones. But what I want to hear right now is I want to hear a Darth Vader line as Peter Griffin.
Okay, okay. Um, I I got to get away from this because I know when Family Guy did it, it was Stewie. So yeah, everybody, uh, you and your friend. Oh fuck! Wait. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. Um, I know that that wasn't perfect, but I'm also doing that off the cuff here. Uh, I'm trying to think. What's another one?
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
Gee, Obi-Wan has taught you well.
No, because I also saw a video of they were doing from episode 3 the back and forth between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it was Rob Paulson and Seth Green. It was Rob Paulson as like Pinky and like Narf,
I, I have seen
and
that.
Seth Green as Chris. Like, no, you have betrayed me.
I've seen that video. That shit was hilarious.
Oh, fucking
Um,
love it.
you know what? Speaking of which, I'm just gonna take that and run with it because we're random and that's what we do here. Have you seen the theory that Pinky was actually the mastermind, not Brain?
Yes.
I honestly love it because
Thanks, Brian.
so for if y'all are listening and have not heard this theory, so basically the plans are still Brain's plans. He is still the one trying to take over the world. However, Pinky is pretending to be a moron. Pinky is intentionally sabotaging his plans to prevent him from taking over the world. Which actually, now that I think about it, is basically the same theory that they use for Jar Jar. But it works. And by the law of averages, eventually one of these theories has to pan out. We've had Jar Jar where they have Pinky in the brain. I'm sure if I look deep enough on the internet, there's going to be other theories. One of these eventually has to pan out, just law of averages. Somebody's going to be right on one of these.
I'd really love to know what Rob Paulson thinks of that that theory.
Um, does he do both voices, Pinky
No,
and
he
Brain?
no, he does Pinky. He's also the voice of Yakko.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Um,
and Doctor Scratch and Sniff.
um, shit. I know. There's another one that's really fucking good, and you brought it up. You've probably seen this before too. The voice actor who does Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and
Oh,
Ferb.
Dan Povenmire. Ah,
Yeah,
bury the platypus. Oh, like it's like Shrinkspheria. I was getting tired of that whole nature thing.
one of my favorite ones is when they meme it. Like it'll be in a comment section on Facebook, and they just have him with the gun. Shut the fuck up, Predator. I love those, and honestly, I thought of a way. I didn't see how they finished the show with Phineas and Ferb, but I did think of a perfect ending that I think they should have done.
Season
You know,
two. Season two of Phineas. Well, I shouldn't say season two. I should say the second edition of Phineas and Ferb. They're actually coming back for more episodes.
really, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Um, well, what I thought of is like, mind you, the entire premise of the show, as they say in the opening theme song, you know, they're on summer vacation, and this is just all the shit they're doing during summer, and school comes along to end it. Well, since they're always building shit anyway, what if they end the show, they end the series, they built a time machine and just go back to the beginning of summer, and it just becomes an endless time loop. Like that is such an easy way to finish the show to where it's well, if it actually works because a lot of these shows they like to follow the just the episodic format to where by the end of the episode it's a complete reset and has no impact on the following episodes. So if you do the time machine shtick, that's your reset.
There you go.
So I would
What you
really
got for us, Dan?
now if that is the ending, god damn it, I demand writing privileges. I need a credit. But so switching gears, I went ahead and did pull up another one has to go. This is a totally different website. This has like 44 different questions. I'm only going to grab a couple of them. A lot of them are food related or superhero related, which honestly we can spend enough time talking about Marvel and DC. We don't have to do it more. So I'm not going to do that. But one of the first ones I was going to go with. Now, I've only seen 2 out of the 4 movies in here, but I still know my answer to this. So there's one must go. There is Goonies, Ghostbusters, and I'm assuming they mean the original Ghostbusters, not like any of the reboots that they've done recently. Um, Godfather Part 2 and Gangs of New York.
Godfather, gone. I can't stand any of those fucking movies.
My answer was also going to be The Godfather, and part of the reason for that, now I've seen all three of the movies. Three is an absolute fucking train wreck. Um, two, no, the first one I don't mind. It is a very long-winded movie. If they were to redo that movie today, the pacing would be totally different. Although I was okay with the story. However, Godfather 2 relies entirely too much on you coming back to see the third one. So when it is not a standalone story, I have to grade it based on what it's leaning on. And what it is leaning on is dog shit. So Godfather's gonna go. I actually don't kill me. I have not watched The Goonies. I have not seen it. Um, goddamn. So those of y'all listening, he just got up and left. Um, and the other one is Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York is one I actually did mean to watch it. I've just never gotten a chance to sit down and watch it. Part of it has to do with the fact that honestly, DiCaprio has almost no misses in his entire catalog. I'm not going to say none because nobody's perfect. Like, even Samuel L. Jackson has a couple stinkers, but um, DiCaprio has a fantastic resume, his filmography, and I wanted to watch Gangs of New York just for that reason alone. But so yeah, Godfather, even though it's one of the only ones that I've seen to this list, it's still gone. Let's see the next one. Oh, I think you're probably going to have a stronger opinion about this than I will. So,
Saying a lot because I have opinions on everything.
so it's going. I'm not even going to say it's going to be pretty obvious by the second or the third option what this is a list of. So one has to go between Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, and I think you know where I'm going,
Yep.
Sean Connery, or Roger Moore.
Oh, fuck.
For those of you not in the know, these are all James Bond actors.
All right. Well, I can't get rid of Connery because he's the one who basically originated the theatrical version of James Bond. So, and for those that don't know, they were books prior to being made into movies. Ian Fleming. So Connery has to stay. I love Daniel Craig as James Bond, so I got to keep him. The issue I'm coming up with is Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan. Now, I grew up more on the Roger Moore films, but I'm gonna have to say Roger Moore just because the ones that he was in felt a little more campy than those with Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, I love him as James Bond. There's just a couple hangups with the ones that the films that he did do, but because of the campiness of some of the ones of the Roger Moore films, I got to go with Roger Moore.
So, with my answer to this, honestly, the only Bond movie that I've seen, period, was GoldenEye. And part of the problem with that is I was a kid at the time. I did not have the attention span. When I say I was a kid, like I had to have been like 12 or younger. So when you're that young, it was actually kind of long-winded and boring to me. I am fully aware that if I rewatch it now as an adult, I'll have a different opinion. Um, but I am going to also let Roger Moore go, but for a totally different reason. And the reason that I'm giving, so I have to keep Sean Connery because Sean Connery was a fantastic actor, and I 100% believe that this is actually part of what made him into the fame that he had. So if you don't have Sean Connery James Bond, you're not going to have the Highlander. You're not going to have. I'm sorry, I loved League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't give a fuck if it was campy or what. It was. I loved it. Um, but there are so many movies that would not have happened had he not done James Bond. I have to keep Pierce Brosnan because you need that continuation. If they stopped with Sean Connery, we would have never gotten Daniel Craig, in my opinion. I don't think that they would have revisited the character. I think that having him helped to continue it and helped it carry on to that next generation. And by the same logic, whoever we're about to get next, like it's still building on that legacy. So Roger Moore, in my opinion, has the least his impact is the least. If you remove him from all of it, I think the franchise would be the least affected out of the three. And I think that the other actors would be much more heavily impacted if you remove their movies. As a side note, I absolutely fucking love Daniel Craig in Knives Out as that detective. I
Right.
he is fantastic in those.
Now, I'm going to throw a hat in the ring for the next James Bond, Idris Elba.
I would love that. I don't think he wants it anymore.
Probably not with all the bullshit they put him through, but my God, would he be a great James Bond?
He would
Because
be a fantastic James
the
Bond.
thing about James Bond is James Bond's not a person. It's just a name given to that operative at that time, just tied to the 007 license to kill through MI6. Another interesting thing about James Bond is James Bond is actually demisexual.
That's kind of interesting considering he's just famous for fucking women.
That is true. However, in order to do his job as a spy, he is going to have to seduce or manipulate or whatever or whomever in any situation. And I'm people out there, facts are facts. Not all villains are men that have a very beautiful, sexually innuendo named uh, side piece.
That's very true. And honestly, I know that that's something that they've adopted into other storytelling. Marvel has done it with Deadpool and even Wolverine's son Daken. Daken has clapped man cheeks before, but he did it to accomplish a goal. um, but actually, so Idris Elba would be a really good one. I know that I've mentioned him before. I think John Boyega would actually be fantastic at it. And if we got John Boyega, he's young. We could get a long run from him. Um, and also he would piss people off.
A black James Bond?
Um, actually, though, you know what? I would be curious to see. I bet Daniel Radcliffe could pull it off.
He probably could, but my concern with Radcliffe, and uh, he's a phenomenal, very talented actor, and I absolutely love him in. There's this show, I think it's on TBS or TNT. I can't remember, The Good Ones or something like that, where it's just
Good Omens, I think.
well, Good Omens is David Tennant and Martin Sheen.
Okay, okay. I know what you're talking about because he plays an angel, and I just can't
Yeah,
name it off
well
the top of my head.
that was season one. Season two, he plays basically a shit collector in like medieval times. And then he plays a priest in season three. And then I haven't seen season four yet, which I believe is the final season. But Radcliffe's a phenomenal actor. But I still think he's having difficulty breaking out of the Harry Potter that kid type roles, which is why he's been doing a lot of very obscure type parts.
I would agree with you about that because so one of the movies that he did, which I thought was actually one of the better horror movies in recent memory, was The Woman in Black. Now, my problem with his casting in The Woman in Black, he was good. He was really good. However, he is playing a lawyer widower with like a 3, 4 year old child. And Daniel Radcliffe, to this day, does not look old enough to be that guy. So
Yeah.
that was my only thing. Like, I enjoyed him in the movie. I liked the movie. Made me really sad because I heard the sequel was dog shit. But it was very hard for me to buy him in the role because it just wasn't working. That's saying it wasn't working is that's not a good way to put it. But yeah, he didn't look old enough for the part. Honestly, I'm not sure that he was old enough for the part because he made this. This was almost fresh out of um
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Who was
Um,
written by a cunt?
yes, we got to keep that counter at 0. um, I cannot remember what that thing is. So well, let me just see. Daniel Radcliffe. First season he played an angel. What was that? Miracle Workers. That's what it
That's
was.
it. Yeah, Miracle Workers.
Yeah,
Well, you
yeah,
should check
and
out Swiss Army Man too.
I know about that one. There's another one I've mentioned before that he did with John Hamm. It was called The Young Doctor's Notebook, I believe it was. It was
Okay.
on Netflix. They removed it a long time ago. It's kind of a dark comedy. He is a medical doctor out in the frozen fucking hell, I think in Siberia specifically. And John Hamm is an older version of him, almost, and it's almost like he's looking back on his time and reminiscing and commentating on it, which is really fucking weird because Daniel Radcliffe is already an adult when he makes the show. So how does he become John Hamm, who's 2 feet taller than him? But I digress. It is a bit of a dark comedy, and he ends up uh, fuck it. He develops like a morphine addiction in the show. It is pretty dark, but it was pretty entertaining and interesting. If you ever get a chance, I would recommend checking it out.
Right.
So
So you got
let's do
one more.
one. Yeah, this will be a little bit interesting here. I know which one my pick is because I hate that fucking show. So you have Stabler and Benson, uh, Mulder and Scully, Sherlock and Watson, or the Scooby Doo Gang.
Who's Stabler and Benson?
Law and Order. Uh, Stabler and Benson. So that's Olivia Benson, which is I Mariska Hargitay, I believe it is, and then Stabler is Chris. What the fuck is his name? He did Oz. He did that show Happy. Um, fuck. Hang on. I mention him all the time. See, Happy Christopher Maloney. Christopher Maloney.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, you think the obvious choice being the fact that I've never seen Law and Order, I would go with that. However, um, everyone's gonna hate me for this, but I fucking hate Scooby Doo.
Oh yes, I have absolutely never enjoyed that fucking show. Um, Even as a kid, it was entirely too formulaic for me. And I say that knowing I with some of the media that I follow, you can see the Marvel characters in the background. You can see my replica championship belt. Yes, some of the things that I enjoy do follow a very specific formula. However, that formula for Scooby Doo just never worked for me ever.
I just hated the fucking cartoon. It was like, I'd sit down every Saturday fucking morning. Scooby Doo came on. It's like, nope, fuck this. I'm out. I'll go do fucking chores.
Yeah. I was never a fan of it. Oh, you know what? I forgot another thing that Daniel Radcliffe did. I wanted to check out his Weird Al Yankovic movie.
Oh,
I forgot
uh,
about that.
I've seen it.
I mean, I've seen him in costume and he looks great
So
as Weird Al.
I fucking love it because it is a biopic about the world's greatest parody artist, and the movie itself is just a fucking parody. I mean,
Honest, I love that.
you got Jack Black coming in and playing Wolfman Jack. This is Wolfman Jack. I'm gonna tell you. You got Jack Black there. You got you know, it's like it's. I don't want to fucking spoil it for you. It's fucking hilarious, but I mean, they're playing stuff off like, okay, let's take another one, Rides the Bus, for instance, by Queen. So you have Weird Al's version, another one, Rides the Bus. You have another one, Bites the Dust by Queen. However, they're basically making it that people are now parroting Al Yankovic. So another one, Rides the Bus, is the original, and another one, Bites the Dust by Queen, is the parody. And they're like, oh, you just got parodied by Queen.
That's would be hilarious. Um, yeah, I love it. We've talked about it before. I love it. Like Weird Al. he has lasted longer than most of the people that he has parodied, which is honestly hysterical when you think about it. There's a lot of songs. The reason I know the original song is because of his parody. For example, Bare Naked Lady song "One Week." I knew Weird Al's version, Jerry Springer, before I knew the original. Which, oh, that would be a hard one to do on karaoke. That would be really difficult.
Well, you could always just
But
go up and have him go up and just memorize the lyrics to, the Jerry Springer, the Weird Al version, and just go up and have him play Bare Naked Ladies and just go to town.
that, yeah, that's true. Although, like, even that, I would probably struggle with it because he packs so much into those, like, and because it goes so fast. That would be difficult. Um, but yeah, getting back to what we were saying. So the one positive that came out of Scooby Doo, the one life lesson that applies in the real world, is that
Velma.
9 out of 10 times the villain is a rich old white dude trying to get more money.
Well, that tracks. I don't know. The one for me, the one good thing that came out of Scooby Doo was Velma.
I
That
will.
that
I'll give
that
you that.
that turned me on to uh, you know, really intelligent women, but looks like they can actually hold their own and they play softball and soccer.
I mean, me personally, I do, Velma herself, I don't feel strongly one way or the other, but I absolutely adore when women want to dress as Velma because it is I'll put it this way, it's never a skinny woman. And I'm happy about who chooses to do it because they always fill out the costume quite nicely.
Mm. You mentioned skinny women. My first thought went to Black Jeopardy, when they had Tom Hanks on there, and it's like the question was, it's like, what can skinny women do for you? And he's like, "Brr, not a damn thing."
I think I do remember that. And I mean, I'll agree with that. I have come around. My tastes have changed over the years. As an example, like we saw Sinners recently. Fantastic fucking movie. Um, Haley Steinfeld is kind of has me in a little bit of a chokehold these days. That movie did not help things at all. Like Haley Steinfeld doesn't have a lot of shape to her, not to be crass, but she's beautiful in the face, and honestly, like it's kind of enough in her
Um,
case.
Funny thing about Haley Steinfeld is, you should go back and like look on YouTube or a few other places. They might have some reels on Facebook or whatnot. Is her training. Her dad is a like a mixed martial arts trainer or something like that.
Really,
So
I
he
didn't know
puts her,
that.
yeah. So for like her roles when she's got to like get bulked up or like do some fighting choreography, he's the one who takes her in and starts training her and stuff like that. And there's one she's wearing like these I don't know, like the volleyball shorts, and she has on a sports bra. And I saw her rear back for a punch, and just the back muscles, like right in her traps, it was and through her back and whatnot. It was like I'm like, holy shit. I mean, you just see them pop, and then this arm just springs forward. It's like, damn.
You know, the funny thing about it is that this movie, Sinners, is how I found out. I did not know that Haley Steinfeld actually was multiracial. I did not know that. Her character in Sinners, she mentions that her granddad, I believe, was w- half black or however you want to phrase it. But um, and I said something about it afterwards, and somebody's like, no, she actually does have black in her family tree. I'm like, really? I look her up, black and Filipino,
Oh wow.
which I mean, now that they say that, I can kind of see it because, like, when you look at her, and y'all know what I mean when I say this. Like, you have the, I guess, phenotypical white appearance, and she doesn't fit that mold. So, whereas I was not aware that she was multiracial, Now that I know, like, oh yeah, I actually can see that. So
That honestly, the different genetics probably play well into her attractiveness, her visual appearance.
it might.
Well, I mean, it's not a lie. I mean, there's beautiful people, all shades of skin, but it's one of those things that's like the more the genetics get mixed in between here and there, from whether it's like Italian to Irish or you know Jewish or Israeli to French or German or something like that, or even like whatnot. I think the blending of the genes actually attributes to not just physical attractiveness, but more body healthiness.
That part you would probably be right about, because I know we'll take dogs for example. And I'm pretty sure you know this, but for anybody listening or watching, a lot of the reason where dogs have a lot of health problems comes from the inbreeding. Not pit bulls, but bulldogs, for example. That mush face that they have, that was a trait that they bred and they wanted to cultivate that look. However, the problem with that is it creates they have problems breathing because of that. Now, if you took the bulldog and started introducing other breeds of dog, it would balance out and it would get rid of those traits, and he would probably have a better quality of life. So the I say all that to say, yeah, what you're saying, like as far as like it kind of helps to balance out some of those things. Yeah, it probably would work. And honestly, and we can close out with this. I don't understand the idea of racism because um if everybody quote unquote stuck to their own, we wouldn't have Halle Berrys in the world. We wouldn't have Mariah Carey's, which Mariah Carey, from what I know, is an absolute fucking nightmare to work with and just diva. But if we're talking about just physical appearance,
No, but you bring up the Bulldogs, and here I just thought they took them as puppies and made them run into a wall.
no, I believe this was something that I saw on Adam Ruins Everything, way back when, and he was talking about that's how a lot of breeds of dog came to be, is that they would take dogs, and again, inbreeding, and basically because they were trying to highlight certain traits. And just like when people inbreed, the same problem as in dogs is that there are chromosomes and things that just don't mesh well. So when you see they develop the health problems, some of times they develop mental health issues, just like with people. So stop fucking doing that.
Yeah, because then you get the administration we have now.
Jesus fucking Christ. Fingers crossed not to go too deep into that rabbit hole. Hexleth might be on his way out. So fingers crossed on that.
Well, I'm sure he'll put it over Signal.
uh, and all right, can we collectively agree, since this whole thing with Signal has not had a bigger impact, can we agree we never gave a fuck about Hillary's emails? Because
I don't give a fuck.
I that if we're talking apples to apples, like, nah, this shit is way worse.
Oh yeah, but we're out of time for today, so we hope you turn in next time. You can always get us on menbehindcurtain@gmail.com. Remember, like, share, subscribe, hit us up on our Facebook feed, get our likes up so we can start doing some live streams there, bring in some people and stuff like that, and just make it more entertaining for you.
And one last thing I do want to mention. So episodes 4 and 5 of Valmont are live. They went up Friday. So I believe episode 6 is probably going to be up soon. I will probably see about doing a live stream on TikTok for those because I've only done the first 2 episodes. So now we got 3, 4, 5, and I'll probably do 6 too. I'll probably wait for that to come out. But yeah, go check us out over there. I know that I have a couple of voices on there. I don't know which episodes that you're on, but
Five and
we've got all
six, I
that
believe.
upcoming.
Yep.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so thank you for watching and or listening. Hope y'all enjoyed. Feel free to send in any suggestions for the catastrophes or any other random topics that you want us to cover. Because honestly, nothing is off limits. I don't give a fuck. Y'all have a good one.
Take care.